What's going on, hustlers? Welcome back to another video, and we have got another very special DLA live coaching session with Day. And in this video, we're going to be covering a whole host of different topics. It is a live Q&A with the man himself, and we're going to be covering all sorts from traceability, bidding, what CRMs to use, and so much more. So if you're looking for some secret bits of information, some secret sauce, some golden nuggets that are going to help move your DLA business forward, then stay tuned, as this is the video for you. So less yapping from me, let's get straight into it.
Before we get started, does anybody have any questions about anything? You guys know that this is always your time to ask any questions. All right, sweet. I'm gonna get to you, Devin. But I will say, based on the announcement that I am gonna make, this call and the next call, please take advantage of asking any question that you guys have, because things are gonna have to change. But with that said, let's hear what you got, Devin.
I don't know if you remember, you reached out to me a little while ago when I had thought I got an award. Did not get that award. I actually checked it out. I got so excited by it when I looked at my offers that said award. I literally didn't see the cage code, was not mine. But long story short, I got locked out of dibs, but just got back in. One of my business partners, he has his own account, and he just got a traceability request. In that instance, I'm assuming he probably just has to reach out to the person he got the quote from and then get some sort of essentially a traceability letter saying that they actually are approved distributors of the actual the source, essentially the manufacturer, right?
So traceability is unique, and the answer that I'm going to give to this is not a one size fits all, right? Because it depends. If you got something directly from the approved source, then all he needs is just a quote on letterhead, meaning in writing from the approved source. If he got it from an authorized distributor of the approved source, then he's going to want to get a letter of authorization from that company saying, hey, we are allowed to sell. Okay, example, I have a bottle of Gatorade right here, and everybody knows 7-Eleven and everybody knows Gatorade, right? So let's say DLA wanted 100 bottles of Gatorade and you didn't buy them directly from the Gatorade factory, you were getting them from 7-Eleven. You would want to get a letter of authorization from 7-Eleven stating that Gatorade has allowed them to sell that material on their behalf. So that's if they're an authorized distributor. If they're not a distributor or the approved source, then what you're going to want to get is some kind of packing slip, certificate of conformance, an invoice, a sales order, any paperwork that shows that that company purchased the material from the approved source. So if they're not an approved source or a distributor, then you need some kind of paperwork verifying that they are getting it from the approved source themselves. So yeah, those are the most common solutions to traceability requests.
Okay. That's really my only question, but I will say I did not get my first DIB contract, but I actually did get my first city contract recently for pretty much similar things. I'm delivering plastic sheeting. So
a W is a W, man. W is a W, and it all counts. It all adds up. And when the government will send you paperwork to verify, your account, they will ask you hey, have you done anything similar? Have you performed any contract similar? And that counts towards your past performance. It's not federal past performance, but it's still past performance. You can still put it down when the government reaches out to you and asks you a question. So the more of that stuff you can put in your back pocket, the better, because it's just ammunition when it comes time to compete against other companies, especially new companies in the government contracting space.
Awesome. Thank you.
Sweet. Anybody have any other questions? Anything at all? If anybody has any solicitations or questions about anything that they want to go over, now.
I have a question.
Oh, sweet. Okay, we got a couple of people. All right, so we're gonna start with Rhonda first.
Yeah, hi, Day. It's along the lines of traceability also. So I got a traceability request today. I have it from the approved source, but the quote has several items on it. Do I send that, or do I have to request just the one item?
Okay, great question. Great question. And before I get into that, I just want to remind everybody, traceability requests are great because that means that your company is one of 3 finalists being considered for award. It could mean that it's you and 2 other companies. It could mean it's you and 1 other company. It could mean that you're the only company, but you're only competing with at most 2 other companies for the contract. So whenever you get a traceability request, get excited, respond promptly, give them what they ask for. I always just like to throw that out there so that way you guys know how close you are to winning that contract. Now, to answer your question, I need a little bit more information. So the quote that you got from the vendor, which in this case is the approved source, as you said, does it include like the pricing for each individual line item, or does it include like the pricing all as one, like the price of all the items together?
It's each individual line item, but it's all on one quote.
Okay. The only thing that I would say, you can send that document. The only thing that I would say is just verify if the shipping is any different at all.
Okay.
If you're going to purchase that singular one, because if you are going to purchase just one and then they give you a quote for, I don't know, I don't know, I'm just guessing here, but 20 items, right? The cost of the shipping could be more, it could be less, right? So I would just double check that and verify. But if you got it from the approved source and it's on letterhead, you have it in writing, then you're good to go. You can send it off. You can send it off to the government.
Okay. Thank you.
Sweet. I believe somebody else had a question.
I did, Day.
Sarita, how's it
Hey,
going?
so, we've talked a couple of times that it was okay to submit a bid on any of the solicitations that are still open, even if the due date has passed.
Correct.
All right, so I got a notice from the CO saying that I did not win the award.
Okay.
So I reached out to the CO like you told me to and asked for the debriefing to
Okay, so you
figure
got
out why. And because my price was lower than the one who was awarded. And her response was because I submitted my bid after the due date.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
are we
okay.
allowed or are we not? That confused me.
Yeah, no, I get that. So you are allowed to. It could
Okay.
have just been that in that instance, right? It
Uh-huh.
might have been something, it could have been something that was fairly recent, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm glad that you brought this up because sometimes it's easy to like take what I say and then like if you don't have any context, then it
Right.
can be kind of like frustrating, right? So ideally, when we're going after stuff that's past the due date, do you
Mhm.
remember what the date range that I gave you guys was during boot camp that we want to be going after?
I thought it was 12 to 18. Am I
3 to 18. 3 to 18.
three to 18? Okay.
Yeah, 3 to 18 months. So in this instance, do you remember if yours was like within that window? Like was
Yes.
it was
Yes. Well, actually, yeah, it was so I guess what you're saying is so like if the due date was September 1st.
Mhm. If it was September 1st,
Uh-huh.
then
I'm just
the
using
evaluation
that
that's
as
gonna
an example. I'm just using that as
yes.
an
So
example.
just an example,
Okay.
right? If it was September 1st and then you
Uh-huh.
bid on it, right? Let's say today being September 18th or
Mm-hmm.
something like that, it's
Right.
probable that your bid would not win because
Okay.
let's say the due date was September 14th and it's still
Right.
very fresh, right? So that
Right.
evaluation could still be conducted under the guise that
Okay.
they wanted to award it within that 14-day period. The reason we
Gotcha.
put 3 months is because at 3 months, enough time has passed where if somebody
Mm-hmm.
did submit something within the due
Uh-huh.
date, it would have been awarded by then. So we know that it's not being evaluated, right?
Okay. So I'll remember that. It's try to go along three to 18 months.
Yeah, ideally we want 3 to
Okay.
18 months. And then if it's
Okay.
not within 3 to 18 months, right? Like then
Uh-huh.
we want to make sure that we're submitting our bid with before the due date, right? So if
Okay.
a bid was
Gotcha.
posted September 17th,
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, and then it's due
Mm-hmm.
September 19th, if we're
Mm-hmm.
still in the active window, right, then we want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure we're getting it in before September 19th. And a
Gotcha.
fun fact for you guys that I had to learn the hard way, you want your bid to be submitted by 3 p.m. EST on the due date, right? Or really at any point in time, you want it to be submitted by 3 p.m. EST, simply because that is the cutoff that Dibs has. So sometimes you could bid on something at 7 a.m. and then you win it at like, I don't know, 6 p.m. or something like that, right? You could win it at 6 p.m. the same day. Or if we're talking about an example like Saritha just used, right? Then we might want to make sure that we're submitting it before 3 p.m. on the due date of September 19th or whatever they have listed on Dibs. Did that clear that up for you, Saritha?
Yes, that did. That helps me go back and rethink when I'm submitting on ones that are past due. I'm making sure that enough time has passed, so if they are going to award it, they've had time to do that.
Got you. Does anybody have anything else? And I'm glad that you brought that up because context is like very important. Whenever you guys are learning, and like sometimes if I say something and then there's no context, and then you're just like, oh yeah, it's everything is okay. Like it's okay to take that statement and then apply it like in a blanket sense, right? And then you don't get the results that you were looking for. It can be kind of frustrating. So context is super important, especially like, again, the question that Rhonda asked about, is it okay for me to submit the quote even though there's multiple items on it, even though I tell you guys not to get quotes for multiple items? Context, because we don't want you guys getting multiple quotes for the same item condensed into one, meaning if there's two solicitations for the same NSN number, and then one solicitation is for 50 units and then the other one is for, let's say, 150 units, right? We don't want to consolidate those and then just get a quote for 200 units because those are two separate transactions. So again, context very important. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions?
I have one more question, like in regards to that traceability thing. So I'm looking over the questions, and a lot of this is pretty straightforward, but like they'll ask stuff like, do you have an active quality assurance system? And like, what does your company use to calibrate and control measuring and testing equipment? Some of this stuff like doesn't feel like it applies to me, or like I wouldn't really know how to answer it in a professional manner. Just because for the most part, like we're just in our home and trying to do like very small products that we can package up ourselves. So I'm curious, how would you suggest we answer those things?
So the quality assurance stuff, right? That's a lot of the stuff that we talk about in Ignore to Award, and then the DLA successful, right? Like how to organize your files, making sure that you're compiling folders for not just every single solicitation, but also every single award. And then that's where like the checklist that we give people come in, right? So you have your receiving checklist, then your inspection checklist, then your packaging checklist, and then your award folder checklist. So we're running stuff through like 4 different sets of checklists. And then we also recently in August, we talked about like the fraud prevention and like the counterfeit material documents as well that we gave everybody. So in somebody like your shoes, right, that didn't go through the boot camp, the best answer that I could give to somebody in your shoes would be like, yes, say that you do have a quality assurance system in place. And then this is like where, the nitty-gritty stuff of being a business owner comes in. You probably are going to want to start writing down, standard operating procedures for your business, and then being like, yeah, when we receive the material, we put it in this section of our warehouse, or if you don't have a warehouse and it's all in one room, our packaging area. And then this is what we do to inspect the products. And then in the event that we don't have exactly what we're looking for, right? This is how we go about submitting an RMA form, which is a return material authorization form, right? So to answer that question honestly and ethically, you are going to want to start thinking about standard operating procedures and checklists and stuff that you would do like ask yourself, what would I do if we had counterfeit material, right? If we bought something thinking it was coming from Boise, Idaho, and then it came from Shanghai, right? Ask yourself what you would do and then write that down and create that into a checklist. Or ask yourself what you would do if you thought you were getting something, spick and span brand new from, let's say, like 3M, right? You thought you were getting some 3M protective ear covers, and then it turns out that the ear covers, they have rips in the muffs, right? Like ask yourself what you would do in that process and then like write that stuff out.
Thank you.
No problem, no problem. I see that we have some comments in the chat. I'm gonna get to those, but before I get to those, does anybody have anybody else? I feel like there was a couple people that had some questions. I believe like right around when Rhonda was getting ready to say something, somebody else had a question. But yeah, if you guys do have anything, please use this time, ask questions. It could be super random, it could be very specific to you and your business. That's what these calls are for. All right, so if nobody has anything, let's see. So first message in the chat, do you still recommend Zoho as a CRM? If so, are there different types of Zoho services, i.e. Zoho Books versus Zoho CRM? So I do like Zoho, but Zoho is paid, right? We teach you guys in Ignore to Award and Bootcamp how to create a CRM for free using Google Drive or Microsoft OneDrive. Those are your two free options for utilizing a CRM. Now, Lucy is also a CRM, okay? And I don't know what Zoho is now, but Lucy is a CRM, and it does have DIB specific and government contracting specific features for it, right? In terms of like managing your sales pipeline and then tracking stuff from the time that it becomes a solicitation to the time that you bid on it to inputting comments. And then we talk about creating our folders, right? We want to be adding our quotes and our solicitations, our bid submissions, our bid summary confirmations, and all that good stuff, right? That's stuff that you can add into Lucy. And then you also have the ability to basically drag stuff a lot pretty much over the duration of that quote or that entire contract from the time it becomes a solicitation to the time you fulfill the order and get paid on it. You do have time, you do have the ability to manage that through pretty much every single step of the life cycle, right? When you talk about I saw the solicitation, then I was interested in it, then I bid on it, then I won it, then I submitted my invoice and my sales order, and then I submitted my purchase order, and then the material came, and then I generated my receiving receipt, and then I shipped it to the government, and I had my military label and my FedEx label, and then I invoiced the government in WAF and PI, which is what we're gonna go over today. If we have time, we'll get through most of it at least today, right? So to answer your question, Sharon, I love Zoho. I think it's the most user intuitive, but Lucy is government contracting specific. And then you also have the option of Microsoft Drive or Google Drive if you want to go like the free route.
Thank you for that, Dave. Now, do you know how much Lucy is?
Let's see who's in here today. Michael sometimes shows up to these. Is Michael in here? Oh, Michael's in here. Michael, who created Lucy, is in here. Michael can speak to that. What are the odds? He's here today.
Hey guys. Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey. So they has a special code that gets you 20% discount. I think our lowest plan is 129, I believe, a month. But then you get 20% discount on top of that with days code.
There you go. There you guys.
There's also 7-day trial, so you could always try it.
Oh, even better. There you go. So what you could do is you could sign up for Zoho and Lucy and then do the 7-day trial. Actually, you know what? Zoho doesn't have a 7-day trial. They don't have a 7-day trial. So you can sign up for Lucy and then do the 7-day trial. If it was me and I had to do it all over again, and if I was strapped for cash, obviously Google Drive and Microsoft OneDrive. But if I wasn't strapped for cash, then I would go with Lucy just because it's going to give me exactly what it is that I'm looking for. And like, there's not going to be any guesswork and I'm not going to have to like kind of do like acrobatics in terms of like, trying to get certain aspects of a CRM that's not made for government contracting, do government contracting specific things. And then Deb says, Day shows his quality process and his packaging video. So if you need some insight into quality assurance, you can go check that out on YouTube. It is the free video and it's like 45 minutes long or something like that, pretty in depth. So you guys can go check that out. And then, as I said, in Ignore to Award, we touch on checklist extensively and counterfeit stuff extensively and pretty much just what you need. We have our ISO certification, so even if you guys don't have your ISO certification, if you mimic everything that we do, you will be operating at an ISO standard in terms of your quality assurance. Does anybody have anything else?
Sorry, I was muted and
No
typing at the
worries.
same time. So I am looking at a SAM item that is actually a DIBS item. A person that was providing the agency with Jewish items has
Okay.
dropped out. And her tech docs, which I have access to because I have C folders access, are coming up either blank or archive because they were established in 2015.
Mm.
So I found a method that contracting officers have that leads you to a link that asks for CID number. I don't know what a CID number is. I
A
know the
C
NSN, I know the solicitation, but I'm stuck.
a CID number. So I'm gonna be transparent with you, okay? When it comes to C folders like this, where everything shows up as archived or it's not there,
Uh-huh.
sometimes what causes that to occur is the ESA, which is the engineering support activity, which is basically responsible for all of the products that DLA buys, right? Sometimes the engineering support activity requires an additional level of access, right? An additional level of C folders access
Mhm.
to be able to view the technical documents for that material. Now, because it sounds like these are religious items, it sounds like that's entirely probable that maybe the technical data for these items is very like safeguarded. So in my experience, when I've come across stuff like that, I reach out to the approved source and I would just be like, listen, can you provide me with the specifications for this? Or do you have any insight as to why it would be additionally locked? Or I would even ask like, hey, is there anything that you think I need to know as I'm procuring this? Or I could even ask like, hey, listen, the person that was selling this to the government on your behalf is no longer doing that. I'm a minority woman-owned business, or don't lead with that, but say, you know, the person that did sell this material for you on your behalf to the government is no longer doing it. So, are you guys still interested in doing business with the federal government? And then, if none of that works, then what I would do is I would find an alternate and then I would submit my bid as an alternate. And then in the remarks section of my bid, I would be like, listen, I have C folders access, but when I access the drawings that are almost 10 years old, they either show up as archive or blank. So those that was like 5 or 6 different solutions or routes that you could take. That's what I would do if it was that was my that's like my solution to that. And you can also call the C folder help desk and then just ask them for the next level of access as well.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Does anybody have anything else? Any other questions, comments, or concerns about any products?
Question if nobody else has one. It's not about
Mm-hmm.
products.
Mm-hmm.
I realize that the stuff I'm looking at requires you to have NIST 800 171.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to do my Spurs first level. But
Mm-hmm.
what does an SSP plan for a solopreneur look like?
Well, you were in the initial ignore to award class, if I recall correctly. So as a
Yep.
byproduct of that, you do have access to all of the other versions subsequently. And we did touch on what that looks like for level one in the August version of the class. So if you go into Teachable or Google Drive, whichever one you have access to, and if you can't find it, then just drop me a line and let me know.
Okay.
But we actually talked about what level one SSP looks like for a solopreneur. That was like the entirety of what we talked about not the entirety, but that was pretty much the majority of our cybersecurity brief, if you will, in day one of Ignore to Award. And we talk about like the things that you can do to satisfy the requirements. And some of the stuff, as you might already know, is as simple as like having a locked file cabinet and then
Yep.
password encrypting or password locking, your server access, whether that be Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, Lucy, whatever the case may be, right? So we touch on that like very extensively. We touch on level 1 and level 2 actually in the August version, so you do have access to that.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back and look.
No problem.
Okay, nobody else has anything. If I'm successful with the bid on this item, because the contracting officer has reached out to me to ask me to help him find prices, because the seller has like gone AWOL. We can't find her. I did call her place of business on Sunday because she was open. They hung up on me. So if I'm successful in getting another vendor to sell me the items to sell to the government, does that require anything more than just working with the contract officer? Because I would be subbing, so to speak. Because they're not actually an approved source. The approved source has disappeared. He knows that. I know that. I'm giving him prices.
Yeah, so if they are aware of who's manufacturing the material that you're providing and you state that very clearly in your bid submission, then you're fine. Because the way it works is the government is under the guise that you've accepted the contract and you're willing to perform on it, as long as you don't cancel within the 10 calendar days of the award, right? So to the government, they're like, okay, Yvette is accepting this. And if we don't hear anything from Yvette within 10 days, then we know that she's willing to perform on this under the guidelines set forth in her bid and then our purchase order that we sent to her. So if you like everything with the contract and you are cool with the specifications, the agreements, the timelines and everything, then no, there's nothing else that you have to do except for perform on it.
But the weird thing is, I'm giving the contract officer clues to the pricing from other vendors that sell it. Does that ruin my chances of putting a substantial profit on top of it? Because I'm helping him give him baseline prices?
So two things that I would say. One, to answer your question, no, it doesn't. But I would say like I wouldn't necessarily be giving this guy pricing without me submitting bids, right? Like their pricing should be coming from you submitting bids and then telling them like, hey, listen, I got it from this company. This is what it's gonna be. And then if you want to do anything else, if you want pricing on anything else, just ask me to revise my bid. That's how I would do it because at that point you're now liable for him, or you open yourself up to the opportunity for him to be like, oh, this company has a cage code that she sent me the pricing for. I'm just gonna go reach out to them. So it doesn't hurt you when you mark up your price because sometimes the government pays for the peace of mind knowing that Yvette's done their due diligence and she's gonna handle the packaging and the shipping and all that good stuff. But like it doesn't impact your ability to mark up your price. That's what I want to clarify with the first part of my answer. But in terms of like him conducting the transaction with you, do I think that he would go outside of, your, I don't want to say jurisdiction, but the work that you've done? No. Is it possible? Yes. So in the event that he decides that yes, he does want to work with Yvette and you do want to mark it up whatever amount, however substantial you want that to be, no, he's not going to get pissed off at you for offering that price. But like prior to that, we want to make sure that you're offering your price in the form of a official bid.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Let's see. Somebody said, what all comes with Ignore to Award? I purchased it, but I have no clue outside of the videos what it comes with. So please make sure that when you guys are accessing everything in Teachable, right? When you're accessing the videos, please make sure you guys are looking at the documents, like you guys are looking at your phone call scripts, your email templates, all of the checklists that we just talked about for your quality assurance stuff. Make sure that you guys are looking at your pricing guides. Make sure that you guys are looking at your acronym cheat sheets. Depending on which version you got, I don't know if you got Ignore to Award or the DLA Success Bundle, but please check out the roadmap that we have in there. Please, if you got the DLA Success Bundle, check out the archive of all that stuff. Please make sure you guys are looking at all the additional informational documents, right, that come with that. So that literally removes the need for you guys to go and create documents. You guys can download those PDFs, throw on your company logo, and then you guys get to use all the documents. We have our sales order with all the terms and conditions from the August version that now basically allows you, it entirely protects you in the event that you purchase something from a vendor and then the vendor sends it to you and then you send it to DLA and then DLA is like, hey, this was fucked up. We don't want to pay for it. We sent you guys all the terms and conditions and clauses that you want to include on your sales order to legally protect yourself in situations like that. So outside of all the videos, it's all the informational documents for literally everything that you need to do in your business. And then also, please check out day 2 from the August version. People are always like, hey, listen, I don't know what I want to be selling. In day 2 of the August version, we literally gave you guys a website that we gave you guys the FSC code, which is like over 14,000 solicitations, and then a website where you can get all of this stuff online. You don't have to email anybody. You don't have to call anybody. Pricing and availability is literally online. So you guys are talking about, oh, I don't know what to sell. That's another benefit of what's in Ignore to Award. So make sure that you guys are checking everything that's in there and Teachable, checking all the modules. If you guys got the DLA Success, if you got the DLA Success Bundle, it also touches on how to become an approved source for the government. It also touches on surplus material as well. So make sure that you're looking through every single drop-down menu in those modules on Teachable, because there's everything that you need to be successful and then some.
There we have it, guys. I hope you found this useful and I hope you've gained something from this that is going to help propel your DLA business forward. Now, if you want your burning questions answered, if you need more assistance and you are serious about taking your DLA business to the next level, then I already know, but the fact that you've stayed tuned to the end of this video, we'd probably be a good fit. And we could definitely take your business to where you're trying to go in, not only in your business, but in your life in general. If you're looking to perhaps leave your job or print generational wealth to leave something behind for you and your family, or just have a life of more freedom, then you want the results our clients are getting, which is what we do here. We are the best in the world at scaling and growing DLA businesses. So book a call with the link down below to speak with myself and the team. And if it's a good fit, we'll absolutely do our best to try and help you and move you guys forward. If not, there's plenty of free content out there. And we've got our free Skool community as well, which you can definitely go ahead and join. I hope to see you on one of the calls. If not, then I will see you in the next video. Not only am I looking forward to your success, but I'm absolutely sure of it. Bye-bye.